As Star Wars Day gets closer than ever, about 4 days left, and I'm trying to, consume the most of Star Wars knowledge I can and all the series. I need to lock in these 4 days and watch nothing but Star Wars gobbledygook the whole time. And I can't do that because I have other stuff to do. So within these 4 days, I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna watch something like shorter, and then I watched Tales of the Jedi, which is a really good idea because it's only like 8 episodes. Unless I'm like missing something, I'm watching through a different place. We don't know if there's any other places that has more than like 2 seasons, or I don't know. All I can tell is that Star Wars Tales of the Jedi only has 1 season, and that's the only thing I can get. And I'm pretty sure this is just some filler things to pick up, during before and then after the Clone Wars. And then I was right. This is a somewhat mostly filler. Some episodes that you're missing, or some episodes that should have been in Star Wars but they wouldn't do it. They don't understand. Or maybe there was just something in the Star Wars comic books that George Lucas wanted to put in, and that's what Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is. So yeah, today we're reviewing Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, and I hope this video gets a bit shorter because it's only like 8 episodes and I can explain all of it. We're doing the classical 10, the song and everything, blah 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 blah, and I'm just gonna look through here to see what mostly of the episodes are, because I mostly forgot about some because there's like too much, but I understand most of them. Let's get out some of the serious ones, like the music. Now the music is very very Star Warsy. I've heard of it before, but there was some music that was new for the season, like during Count Dooku when he was facing up that corrupt governor. That was great. And then the action. It was pretty good action. I finally get to see Count Dooku in action, and I love his moves because most of his moves are unorthodox, and most of his training, where he was training with Qui-Gon Jinn, his lightsaber is all different. I really liked his lightsaber. It was pretty cool. It was like some kind of banana thing, but because mostly his, I don't know, something about like his forward thrust and also his swing goes to the opposite side. That fits his arm. I sound like a real Star Wars nerd here, but hold on. I got like 3 videos of Star Wars here. The third one is probably this one. So this is literally gonna be the last, or not gonna be the last. This won't be the last video about Star Wars because there's so much thing I had to make about a video about, and I just couldn't risk it of making myself into a Star Wars commenter. I'm just a regular commenter of what did I watch and what's good. Alright, enough of that. Going out of topic here, let's go to the landscape. Landscape was okay, the same. I get to see like Ahsoka Tano's place, where he was born and where he was living in. The atmosphere and background checks out everything. And there are so many things such as where it is, like this muddy planet, and then there's this other planet. All of that. The characters are usual, some of them I know and some of them I don't know. Alright, that's all of it, the easy 5. Now let's get to the complicated 5. The characters, let's put it out first. So let's tell me about the plot. So, episode 1 is pretty mostly just a filler or something of how Ahsoka Tano was born. She was born into this tribe, and he has power to the Force. He almost got eaten by this tiger leopard thingy, but he controls it with the Force, and that's it. Now, the moment that is great is in episode 2, 3, 4. Now, here another spoiler alert. I'm sorry I didn't warn you with the spoilers, but I already told you. Spoilers are coming no matter what they are. So, if you don't watch Tales of the Jedi or you don't watch anything Star Wars, it's fine, I don't care. Episode 2, 3, 4 really lightens young Count Dooku, and man, they did such a good job of making Count Dooku understandable and where he's going with. For those who don't know, who is not a Star Wars nerd, Count Dooku, or Lord Tyrannus, was he was a Jedi who turned into the dark side, and he already started planning this before Qui-Gon Jinn. I guess he was probably a part of it. Now, I guess I can say that they did a good job of under making Count Dooku understand. Not too much, but just enough. So during episode 2, he was basically sent with young Jin, telling them to hey, there is someone's governor's son who is being abducted, and the reason why they're being abducted is because, well, the citizens of the governor's place is hungry, and basically the whole thing is corruption. Count Dooku went almost evil dark side because there's the corruption of the Senate let these people hungry and all stuff, and like corruption, like you should be, I don't know, killed or something. But that's the thing is, that would literally tell about Count Dooku. Everybody in the Star Wars universe always sees like Count Dooku as some of his actions were, some of his actions were meant for good, but he was just in a wrong side, and he was just doing it for bad intents. Count Dooku really wanted to, change the galaxy. Wants to make the world. He wants to make the galaxy a better place. It's just there's just so much corruption between the Jedi because they're leaning too much to the Senate. And there's the thing about the Jedi in here during the Tales of the Jedi. The Jedi is more into getting more involved in the politics, which makes them a bit of corruption, and they're more sided with their politicians and senates. And which also makes the Jedi, see more as a political opponent and more of a bodyguard for the Senate or for anybody else who has a higher power. Count Dooku being out of this wants to stay away from everything. Also, doesn't want the Jedi to get corrupt. Anyways, he doesn't follow it because he also is unorthodox, as he also did the same teachings with Qui-Gon Jinn. That is the same thing with the episode 3 choices, where Senate assassinated the other person because he wanted to save money. It's the same thing, corruption. These 2 episodes are basically like corrupted senates, and how like the Senate is just the Senate and the government is all collapsing, which is another thing about the plot. Star Wars politics, it's really complicated to understand, but also some like people don't agree with. I don't care much about the politics. I just really love Star Wars. It does not really matter. And now we've gone to episode 4, where Count Dooku finally lost Qui-Gon Jinn. This was during like the first episode of The Phantom Menace, where he told him like, Count Dooku told him like, hey, you killed Qui-Gon, and it's like it was necessary. And I know that he is trying to like persuade him to be his master, but I guess the Emperor or Palpatine didn't have like a good reason to understand him because they were sent to kill the Jedi. I just don't know. And we do see him involving with the murder of Jedi Master Sifo Dyas and the erasing of the records of planet Kamino. Which, yeah, if you understand, and during episode 2, you will understand. It just shows like a bunch of stuff, what's going on, to explain to what's happening for episode 2. And in this episode, we finally see Count Dooku actually, falling to the dark side because he was followed by Master Yaddle, and he was going to report it to the Jedi Council, which he does not want to. And his only choice was to kill him, and he was almost fine for killing Jedi because he knew that the Jedi was just far too gone, and he almost like trusted the Sith. He's gone fully Sith mode, and that's how we get the story of Count Dooku. I won't say so much about it because there's just things you're gonna have to see for yourself. It just makes a really good explanation of what Count Dooku is. This entire episode was basically it's called the Sith Lord because the Sith Lord, but also because the Sith Lord was also meant to be like Count Dooku, transitioning to a Sith. It was pretty great for my account. It's actually one of my favorite episodes, I guess, or it was episode 2. Now episode 5 is literally not much, but if you watch the Clone Wars, this is a very important thing. In episode 5, Ahsoka was training in the Jedi Hall, and then Anakin's like, Yeah, this is a baby game. What are you talking about? If you want to fight, I'll show you real fight. Meet me at my dojo. Forget this dojo. There's all this wimpy, Miyagi meditation bull crap. I said crap, okay? And I don't want you to be, weak against all that. I don't want you to, there's a better training. So it's basically a training art for Ahsoka Tano, and it's most important for Clone Wars. Spoiler for the Clone Wars. Because of this training, Ahsoka was able to survive the Order 66. You'll understand why. And that's basically it. That's the end of the episode. And then the final episode, Resolve, is basically Ahsoka just, after visiting, Padme's funeral, and they sent to Organa. He lives with the regular citizens. One of them snitched, obviously, and I don't know who was the Sith Lord. I think it was Darth Raven, but I don't remember who was the Sith Lord. I need to hold on. Let me just search it up. Okay, so I look it up, and if it is a Inquisitor, and I know what an Inquisitor it is, and this is the 11th brother, which is I don't know if he's, I don't know. It looks scary, but so to sum it up, he was pretty easy to defeat because Ahsoka was trained by literally Anakin Skywalker, the freaking chosen one, Darth Vader, super strong guy, and I don't know what happened then, but yeah, I think he's pretty dead. I think he was dead in episode 6. I don't know what happens to the rest of the villagers. I don't know where Ahsoka escaped. It doesn't matter. The Inquisitor's dead and blah blah blah. It just shows how powerful Ahsoka is and how they're going through life. That's it. That's basically all of the Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. I like to say this. It's pretty short and it's merely for filling in the gaps that wasn't known for so many people, or just filling up the gaps for some of the episodes that were going to happen and before it happened. But since it's so short and it was so entertaining, I really enjoyed it because there wasn't too much to understand. There wasn't too much lore drop or weird references. It was just to understand how did this led to this and what happened to this after this. So ranking Tales of the Jedi, I gave it a, hold on, a 6.6 out of 10. Get it? 6.6. See, I'm a Star Wars fan. Which with math and calculations, I would rate it a 7 out of 10. Alright, that's it. If you guys want to watch this and it's okay and it's pretty short, it's okay with you guys because there's you should watch this after you watch episode 1, 2, and 3. That's it. And the Clone Wars. Because this is just that's what I say, it was just a gap to fill up many things that what you like to know and how did things happen. That's what basically the Tales of the Jedi is. And I really enjoyed it. It was simple, it was short, it wasn't so complicated, there was nothing much to, explain. And it was just good for you want to watch it for a solid reaction, or just want to sit down, or you're into Star Wars stuff and you need to know what happens next. So yeah, that's basically it for Tales of the Jedi. See ya.